we have the makings of a watershed general election, but I don't think there will be that flight to safety that many commentators say. In the midst of a crisis, voters tend to be more conservative and would stick with the tried and tested party. I take the view that we are in the midst of a crisis, and Singaporeans would have seen how the government has performed over the last 6 months. So my sense is that the ruling party is unlikely to surpass its 2015 performance. And the big question is whether, from this general election, whether we will see the ruling party continue to strengthen its grip on power, even with a less popular majority, or whether we will see the start of a two-party or even a multi-party democracy in Singapore.
Well, this makes me wonder then, Eugene, if you look at the opposition landscape, we talked about several parties in the opposition. I mean, who do you think is offering the most compelling case? What could be the surprise here, if you will, relative to the previous election in terms of opposition gaining support?
Well, I think the leading opposition party, the Workers' Party, will probably hold its course. It will likely retain the 6 seats that it had in the last parliament. But I think all eyes will be on the Progress Singapore Party, a party founded by a veteran PAP MP and supported, by the Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong's younger brother, Mr. Lee Hsien Yang. I think all eyes will be very much on how one of these newest party in Singapore would perform. The party has campaigned on the platform that the ruling party today is very different from the party that the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew founded 65 years ago. And so, the question is whether this is a message that would resonate with voters. If it does, then I think we will see the PSP making significant inroads, on its maiden electoral campaign.
Sure. Eugene, good morning. Tanveer joining in this conversation. You have stated in your notes that we must pay attention to the outcomes in the East and West Coast. Why is that?
Well, here we are looking at, on the East Coast, for example, the East Coast Group Representation Constituency. The ruling party moved the Prime Minister in waiting, Mr. Heng Swee Keat, to contest in East Coast GRC. Now, that has traditionally been one of the ruling party's least performing constituency in terms of the vote share. And so the question is, will Mr. Heng, be able to improve, the PAP's performance? And, if his performance is lukewarm, how will Singaporeans and other people look at that sort of outcome? On the West Coast, we have Dr. Tan Cheng Bock, the leader of the Progress Singapore Party, leading his party's charge in West Coast GRC. The ruling party has beefed up the slate by moving another minister to strengthen the team. And again, right, the question here is, how will voters respond, to parties making that very ardent pitch for their votes? And regardless of the outcome, people will be looking at a sort of vote share. People are looking at how each party got their message across. And so I think, these are two constituencies that many people will be watching, and that there will be many talking points long after the election is over.